You say you care about Muslim women's rights, yet you sit on a live stream for hours slandering two Muslim women and undermining their right to even have an opinion on their own community, whilst exploiting another Muslim woman's marriage breakdown to push your agenda. You left Islam. It has nothing to do with you. Leave our women alone. Why, as a non-Muslim man, are you forcing us to conform to your way of thinking by attacking us? Please check your unconscious misogyny at the door. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters. If you're watching this video and it's Salah time, please pause it and go pray and come back when you're done. Please check out the description section of this video to support the channel. So I was sent a stream of a fellow who calls himself the Friendly Ex-Muslim, responding to a video I did with Sister Fahima covering the recent Mohammed Hijab marriage controversy, where we gave a very fair Muslim female perspective holding all parties accountable. And this ex-Muslim guy very deceptively, selectively used only the first half of our discussion, where we spoke about the sister involved and her part in the whole thing. And we know the reason for this. He's just another predictable anti-Islam guy that jumps on any opportunity to hate on Muslims so he can degrade our religion. Guys, go watch the full version of my video so you can get the full context of what Sister Fahima and I actually spoke about. I've linked it in the description. I've never heard of this so-called friendly ex-Muslim individual before this. I think I may have seen him in a video done by an Islamic channel where he was saying that one of the positives about him leaving Islam is that he doesn't have to wash himself anymore. I'm not sure if that was him. I'll get my editors to look it up and include the thumbnail. If not, they'll edit this part out. He looks like an Indian guy. He doesn't have a Western accent. There is an ethnic twang to it. So I think he's maybe from South Asia somewhere. I'm not sure. But he did introduce himself as Abdul Samir. So I'll call him Abdul instead of the guy or the ex-Muslim. Before I refute some of his false claims, speculation, accusations, and at times outright lies and disrespect, I will say that Sister Fahima got the worst of the criticism, probably because she did most of the talking. So I will address comments that were made towards me as an individual and also towards myself and Sister Fahima as a collective, especially when I hadn't even spoken and it was just her talking. He attacked Sister Fahima and I in regards to our character, our reputation, our intentions, our faith, and he not only twisted what we were saying to serve his agenda, he even implied we had hidden meanings and motives behind the words that were spoken. I can't speak entirely for Sister Fahima as her beliefs slightly differ from mine as we follow different sects of Islam, but since he did resort to making some nasty and misogynistic comments about Sister Fahima, which were completely uncalled for, I'll also be addressing that. I welcome a healthy back and forth where parties concentrate entirely on the topic and what was said, which is the way it should always go, but nasty remarks are simply a sign of low intellect and are nearly always met with harsh responses. And I might get Sister Fahima back on to give her the opportunity to clarify her side of things also. So here goes.
Two Muslim women were actually defending Mohammed Hijab. They're defending him and they're defending the religion over this poor woman. And what you're gonna see is you're gonna see them blame her. You're gonna see them blame basically everyone except and everything except Islam, because Islam is perfect and there can't be any problems with Islam, right? So the problem must be with the people. And you're going to hear them say that they kind of like leaked a lot of things, not leaked, but they they told on themselves basically, right? So it's like they believe her, but then they also don't believe her. This video here with the Muslim mom is just, it's basically, how do I say this? It's like they're taking for granted this really happened. They're assuming this is true. And then they actually defend hijab, right? To some extent, and defend Islam.
He comes across as quite uncertain to me, and he makes a lot of incorrect assumptions. The only thing he got right here is that we are defending our religion, and we do think it's perfect, and yes, we believe human beings are fallible. However, he was wrong when he claimed that we were specifically defending anyone involved. If you watch my video on my channel, you will see Sister Fahima and I were as fair as possible and held both parties accountable from the information they themselves put out. Abdul seemed annoyed that we didn't do what he's doing, and that's solely targeting Mohammed Hijab with the motive of degrading Islam. Abdul doesn't particularly care about the Muslim women involved. I quickly scrolled his channel and it turns out that he doesn't speak about many women that are atheists or Christians or whatever who are in abusive relationships. The fact that women in the Mohammed Hijab scenario is Muslim is the only reason he's speaking about this, because his whole channel is dedicated to hating Islam. And let's be honest, this fake concern for Muslim women you display, where you pretend to care about our sisters more than we do, we're not buying it. ever. His claim that Sister Fahima and I told on ourselves is a recurring phrase he uses throughout his video. And for the record, we did nothing of the sort. We had a clear format for the show with bullet points, we didn't deviate from the topics, everything we discussed was transparent, and we believed in what we said. So no, we didn't tell on ourselves. There's no gotcha moments at all. As you saw in one instance, Abdul claimed we believed the sister involved, and in the next he said we didn't. He frames it in this way because his brain doesn't seem to compute that we're being objective, something he doesn't seem to be capable of. Guys, prepare yourself, as you'll see a recurring theme of this man rambling like this and making things up out of thin air.
The first thing she's mentioning is a stain on the community when things like this happen. I don't know if that should be the first concern. It should be that a woman was harmed, right? And again, you're going to see them talk as if they believe this is actually something that happened. So if this is something that happened, then you're more concerned about the community looking bad. It's interesting, right?
I unfortunately have come across many cases which is similar. So he's not the last one. He's not the first one.
So this is another example of telling on themselves. This gives you a bit of cult vibes when there's a situation like this and the first thing you say is, I need to be worried about what my creator says. I need to be worried about what Islam says. Now, that's understandable that if you're in the Muslim community, you're going to think like that, right? But again, they're going to continue talking like this is true. And then she's saying, you know, human beings are the ones which are fallible. Islam is perfect. We have to obey the creator. Human beings, and this is true, human beings are fallible people, that you will find people like hijab in other communities. Absolutely, yes. The problem is when it becomes religiously sanctioned and then you have women defending the man because of the religion and because of his position of authority, he can do no wrong. Now you have a problem. The problem is that you don't want to acknowledge that it's not just a personal failing, but it's a systemic failure of the belief system to protect you and to make you safe and to keep you safe.
So Abdul claimed our first concern was that this is a stain on the community. This is simply not true. Again, two Muslims doing something does not stain our community. It will have a bearing on them as individuals, but Islam as a whole goes on. Our main concern for doing the show was actually investigating what happened and coming to a sound conclusion where all parties could hopefully find a resolution, unlike him who is sensationalizing this to tarnish all Muslims. Abdul again claimed we were telling on ourselves, even though I didn't even speak. It seems to me you need to work on your detective skills, because I would have to make a statement in order to tell on myself, would I not? He claimed Islam gives him cult vibes whilst belonging to the online cult of ex-Muslims. Unlike you, we're not a cult, we're a religion. The irony is that after he called us a cult, he then agreed with us that as Muslims we obey our creator. We believe Islam is perfect and that human beings are fallible. He also claimed that in Islam, if something is religiously sanctioned, it becomes a problem if Muslim women defend Muslim men. This is false, because as women we're not obligated to defend anyone, whether they're right or wrong. Men can defend themselves. So it's not a problem, it's a choice that actually depends on personal interpretation of the faith. He also claimed that due to Mohammed Hijab's position of authority, he can do no wrong in our eyes. Again, this is completely false. Authority figures sin just like anyone else, and again, we're not obliged to defend them. In fact, Mohammed Hijab isn't an authority figure. He's an online personality. He's no authority over me or Sister Fahima, and we're not obliged to defend him either. So what are you even talking about, Abdul? Abdul somehow equates Mohammed Hijab's individual actions to systemic failure of Islam as a religion in keeping women safe. This is yet another false claim. Someone's individual interpretation of Islam does not endanger me, as I can reject that person's point of view. As a Sunni Muslim, I do not believe in temporary marriages or secret marriages. If another Muslim, or man or woman, does, that's on them, not Islam. And let me be clear, anytime I refer to the word secret in the video, I didn't mean secret marriage, I meant keeping things offline.
What is the point of this misyar marriage? What is the point of marriage at all in Islam if a man can, let's say, what's the point of being the first wife? Never mind misyar marriage. You don't even know him about misyar marriage. You just marry a man. What is the point if he can go behind your back? If you're the first wife, what protection do you have that this is not going to happen to you? What is the religion? How does the religion help you? If you think about it, this goes completely against the claims that Islam says that women have equal rights. A second wife has to be treated. The Quran says, marry 1 and 2 and 4, 1 or 2 or 3 or 4. 2 or 3 or 4. If you can treat them right, that's the way it's usually interpreted. And this is where Muslim scholars and preachers will say, well, look, Islam protects second wives and third wives and fourth wives. They have to be treated equally. And there's even like hadith like that. There's nothing you can do except you could potentially ask for a divorce. Women in Islam cannot even ask for divorces. It's only the man's right to give a divorce. A woman has to do a khulla.
So he asked, what is the point of a misyar marriage? I'll tell you. Misyar marriage is not necessarily secret marriage or doesn't always have to be in regards to a situation involving polygyny, as is being suggested on his stream. Misyar marriage is simply a marriage of convenience that both parties have to consent to, consent being the most important word. Spouses can give up one or several of their rights by their own free will, including living together or housing or financial support. And to answer his question, the protection Muslim women have against any type of marriage is clauses in the marriage contract itself. Misyar marriage is not specifically found in the Quran or Hadiths. It's a term that's been introduced by Islamic jurists. It does meet the basic requirements for a valid marriage according to Sharia law and Islamic scriptures, but with the parties involved having the option to waive certain rights that they both once again consent to. The same goes for marriage contract stipulations. This is not in the Hadith, but according to scholars, it's permissible for women to safeguard themselves should they wish to. Women can explicitly say, I don't want to be in a polygynous marriage, and if some men don't like this, then they have the option to refuse to get married, just like a woman has the option to refuse a misyar marriage. This is the whole point of my conversation with Sister Fahima, that we as Muslim women need to know our rights and not get ourselves into marriages we don't want to be in. This especially applies to the sister who got involved with Mohammed Hijab also. And as far as Abdul's claims that there is no equality or protection for women in polygynous marriages, this is false. According to my beliefs, again, secret marriage is forbidden. Also, a secret marriage automatically infringes on the rights of the first wife, especially if the second wife knows and the first doesn't, as this is not equal treatment. Add to that less than 1% of Muslim men worldwide practice polygyny due to the massive religious obligation of treating women fairly. And as far as his claim that Muslim women can't divorce Muslim men easily, this is also false. He claimed a woman has to do a khulla, which is when a woman initiates a divorce and the husband has to consent. A woman can also do a fasq, which is a judicial divorce in a court of law, even if the husband doesn't consent. There's also tafweed, where a clause is included in a marriage contract granting the wife the right to initiate a divorce. Again, this was the point of my video, for Muslim women to know their rights.
I don't think they understand the implications of what they're saying. If secret marriages are so bad, they're so awful for the woman, they always fall 90% of the time plus, or 80%, it falls apart, yet the religion allows it. Why does the religion allow it if it's so bad? The man benefits. If you didn't have all of these hang-ups about sex before marriage, then you probably would have, you know, people that could explore different types of relationships on consent. But those options are off the table. And what that means is the only way to do this is to have this misyar marriage thing. A few small cases, women do take advantage of that situation, right? But it becomes like some sort of like casual thing. But this is not the majority. The majority end up being doom and gloom for the woman.
You're wrong. I totally understand the implications of everything I said and I stand by it. Technically, a secret marriage is not permissible or even possible in Sunni Islam because witnesses must be present and the approval of a woman's guardian is one of the conditions of the marriage being valid in the first place. So Abdul framing what he called secret marriages as if they are forced marriages was completely disingenuous because, as I just established, every marriage in Islam has to be consented to, and technically no marriage can happen in Islam in complete secret as there has to be eyewitnesses to make it valid. By the way, I personally don't believe in secret marriages in any context, as I see them as unethical and I personally would never do it, and all Muslim women have the right to make this choice. Abdul then encouraged Muslim women to be promiscuous outside of marriage to save them from misyar marriage. Are you listening to yourself? He's actually encouraging our women as an ex-Muslim to sleep around to avoid misyar. No thanks, buddy. We'll just stick to monogamous marriages, which is the most common amongst 99% of Muslims around the world. This is a dishonesty of anti-Islam people like this guy. They take something so rare in Islam like misyar and pretend like it's the norm when the total opposite is true. Women are actually supposed to benefit from misyar marriages as well as men. For instance, if a woman is older and finds it difficult to remarry, or if a woman is divorced or widowed and has her own home, or if a woman has responsibilities that mean she's unable to look after a husband, or if a couple are young and still living with their parents but like each other, or if the man she wishes to marry isn't financially stable yet. The aim is to allow them to marry so they don't fall into sin.
They're going to blame her for this, right? He was in a position of authority over her. in my opinion. She was accepting of being a second wife, meaning part-time wife, you know, every other night or whatever, but also like a true relationship.
Doing this in secret to start with, whether you know or don't know, you eventually did find out it was started in secret from what she has said herself. So yeah, keep it that way, and there's no need to go public. I think if the accusations on both...
These are women. You're supposed to be on her side. You guys are women saying this. How are you saying this? This reminds me of when Muslim women do FGM to other Muslim women.
So Abdul claimed we blamed the sister involved in the controversy with Mohammed Hijab, which is false. This guy deliberately reacted to my video up until the point we spoke about the sister's part. He conveniently did not react to where we spoke about Mohammed Hijab's part and how Muslim men that are public figures are even more accountable for safeguarding Muslim women. Sister Fahima and I even spoke about the responsibility of Islamic councils to ensure the safety and rights of Muslim women are protected from being exploited by men. Why did Abdul leave that out? I'll tell you why. Once again, his motive is not to help the sister involved, it's to bash Islam and Muslims in general. If you want to know what I said, go watch my video, all of it, and you'll see I'm telling the truth and he's lying. And again, when I refer to the word secret, I'm just saying don't make it public online, deal with it behind closed doors. Abdul seems to think just because we're women, we should agree with everything other women say and do. This is not a smart take at all. That's like me saying to him he should agree with everything Mohammed Hijab does because they're both men. It's not about gender, it's about justice. It doesn't matter if it's a man or a woman, everyone regardless of their gender should be judged fairly. The most disgraceful part of this clip was when he equated us holding women accountable to women engaging in the female genital mutilation of other women. This is disgustingly disingenuous as we're not talking about physically harming anyone. But ask yourself, what kind of dark things have to be going on in this weird guy's mind to even think such a creepy thought in the first place? You don't represent Muslim women, Abdul, and you never will. We do because we are Muslim women. So save us your veiled Islamophobia disguised as concern for our sisters. You can say mistakes have been made on both sides. And
Mistakes have been made on both sides. What mistake did she make other than trusting this guy?
we have to remember, you know, Muslims, just like people from any other religious group, we're only human. There have been instances where men have misused their religion to pursue worldly desires. Yes, they have been.
Like this one?
And there will be cases where the same applies to some women also. But this has no bearing on the religion of Islam as a whole.
Yes, it does.
Human beings are fallible.
Yes, it does. It has everything to do with Islam. Look what you're saying. If you guys were Christian and you believed in one man, one woman, would you be saying this? This should have been considered zina, fornication. It's so awful to hear women say these things.
Are you okay? You're giggling like a schoolgirl as if I made a joke. This is not a laughing matter, Abdul. It's literally awful to hear a man who's not Muslim try to police Muslim women on what they can and cannot say. Yes, from watching the videos that the brother and the sister made about what happened, if the claims are true, we can conclude that mistakes were made on both sides. This is the most fair analysis. Why is that surprising to this guy? I'll tell you why. Because he wants to make Islam look oppressive to women. Abdul asked what mistake did the sister make. I don't want to bash her, but from what she said, she agreed to be a second wife, and she agreed to a secret marriage. She also didn't stipulate clauses in her marriage contract, and she tolerated him ghosting her and coming back despite having other proposals for marriage because of his fame. She should have safeguarded herself. Abdul also found it astonishing that I said Muslims are human like everyone else, and we make mistakes just like everyone else. Does this surprise him because he thinks we're subhuman? I'm going to say it, Abdul doesn't seem to be too bright. I am myself explicitly saying in that clip that some Muslim men misuse Islam for worldly desires. I'm saying it, so again, there's no gotcha moment here. And yes, despite your little protest, I was 100% correct when I said two Muslims making mistakes has no bearing on Islam as a whole. We don't care about your opinion because you're a person that harbours prejudice against our faith and our community. I repeat, this isolated incident has nothing to do with Islam as a whole. My faith, my prayers, my pilgrimage, my fasting, or my charity is not affected whatsoever. The same goes for billions of people around the world. That's like me saying the ex-Muslim who carried out an extremist attack in Germany at the end of 2024 was a result of your apostasy ideology, and everyone in your community as a whole is the same. By your logic, this is effectively what you're saying. Did you see, guys, how he tried to strawman things by saying if you were Christians, anything outside monogamy would be considered adultery? But we're not Christian, so that makes no sense. It's like comparing Hinduism to Judaism. Let's just keep it sensible and on topic. And once more, 99% of Muslim marriages around the world are monogamous, and any deviation from that usually results in divorce. Please stop with the dehumanization. I want to make it clear that no actual criminal activity took place, like is being suggested by some of the anti-Muslim crowd.
This was a confusing comment to me. I haven't heard anyone say that this was a criminal act, more that this was a moral failing. So I don't know why she's saying that. It seems like a straw man to me, other than the fact that bigamy is a crime. Getting a second wife without, you're not allowed to have a second wife.
I don't know why he's confused by this. Numerous times throughout his stream, he refers to Mohammed Hijab as an abuser, as have some of his Islamophobic counterparts. Abusing women is a crime, and Mohammed Hijab has faced zero legal repercussions, hence there's no criminal activity. It's very simple maths, Abdul. And technically, bigamy is not a crime if no government paperwork is signed. It's just seen as having 2 female partners. In the West, men can have 100 female partners. In Islam, men can only have 4. And as I already established, most Muslim men choose only to have 1. It could be said there is a concern for immoral motives, but we don't have confirmed evidence of that sort that would be presented in a Sharia court.
Ah, she just told on herself again. We don't have anything that could be confirmed that was wrong in a Sharia court. Because in a Sharia court, this would have been completely okay, right? Like what she did is completely okay in a Sharia court. You said, both of you said, this doesn't make Islam look bad. This is hijab. If hijab did it, which they don't want to admit, this is his fault. He's the one who's responsible for this. He's the one that, made the situation. Yeah, he's a bad guy, whatever. Like they don't even want to say that, but they want to say that, people are fallible. People are fallible. They're making excuses for him. Yet now she's admitting this is actually a problem with Islamic law. This is not a problem with anything. He did nothing wrong. He did nothing wrong. If you ask me, Hijab should have done this privately, like they said, and he should have settled it with her in whatever way that he needed to settle it. Because but the reason Hijab did not want to do that, if you ask me, is because he's a narcissist.
Again, I didn't tell on myself, as Abdul repeated once more. Everything I said is transparent. There are no coded messages, and I'm not in the habit of double talking like you did during this stream. There has not, as of yet, been conclusive evidence like the sort that would be presented in a Sharia court. He mistranslated this as me saying everything that we know so far would be permitted in a Sharia court. Again, very disingenuous of you, Abdul. I doubt he even knows how Sharia court works. In summary, the judges look at different schools of thought to come to the most fair decision. Abdul then outright lied when he said, I admitted this is a problem with Islamic law. I did no such thing. I simply said instead of making claims on social media, the people involved should go to court and prove their claims. Does this guy not understand simple English? He then contradicted himself by repeating what Sister Fahima and I said all along, when he himself said Mohammed Hijab should have kept it private and dealt with it behind closed doors. That's exactly what he did. It was his sister involved that made it public. Honestly, this guy doesn't sound very smart at all. And let me be clear, I made no excuses for Mohammed Hijab like Abdul claimed. Myself and Fahima simply approached the situation from a neutral standpoint in order to be as fair as possible. Hijab is not a prophet. We have to make that clear. He's not a prophet, he's a man.
Your own prophet did worse than Mohammed Hijab, right? So being a prophet doesn't actually help his case here. The whole miss your marriage, Muhammad did it. So how can anyone make a haram? You cannot. So they might say it's like, it's going to cause harm and this and that. But if Muhammad, the prophet of Allah, the perfect man, was doing this by example, giving an unfair, unequal treatment to his wives, this is evidence for Muslims that miss your marriage is okay, right?
And if he does or says something, it doesn't represent every Muslim. The anti-Islam people are using this inconclusive scenario as some sort of gotcha moment against this.
How is this an inconclusive scenario, right? We have Zayd al-Omar, who did the exact same thing, right? He did this misyar marriage. Mohammed Hijab admitted in that tweet that there is so many Muslims with polygamous marriages, second wives, misyar marriages. It's so crazy to me that these people can say these things, knowing that these things happen over and over in the community, and this has nothing to do with Islam. Okay, sure.
The reason why I said Brother Hijab is not a prophet is because he's a regular person that will make mistakes, and none of those mistakes have a bearing on Islam. Do you see how this smug ex-Muslim used this as an opportunity to insult the messenger of God, peace be upon him? This is why as Muslims we don't take you seriously, and we don't believe you when you say you care about our sisters. In reality, you're exploiting the circumstances of a Muslim woman in order to push your prejudicial agenda. I already established what misyar is and how and why it's permissible, and it is true that many scholars have disallowed it because of its misuse by some men with bad intentions, resulting in negative consequences affecting women. But every community has bad apples, and again, this has no bearing on us as a religion because the majority of us don't do it, and there are rulings in place to prevent people from misusing it. Abdul also asked how this is an inconclusive scenario. I'll tell you how. Until all evidence is presented in the Islamic court of law, for Muslims the matter remains inconclusive, hence why Sister Fahima and I carefully took a neutral and balanced stance. You, Abdul, may judge people solely on what you see on social media through your anti-Islam tinted glasses, but we need full confirmation. And if after that Mohammed Hijab is found to be in the wrong, so be it. But as Muslims, we should wait until such confirmation comes through or doesn't. Abdul then resorted to outright lying again when he said Brother Zayd al-Omar did the exact same thing by performing a misyar marriage. Brother Zayd has never been married in any scenario. Abdul is referring to a proposal that was made. Please get your facts right before you make easily debunked claims on social media. And as far as Abdul's referral to a Mohammed Hijab tweet to once again falsely paint polygyny and misyar as the norm in the Muslim community, I again reiterate, the stats show that globally 99% of all Muslim marriages are monogamous. At this point, I'm sorry to say you're just making an absolute fool of yourself. Pass judgment are not people that are a beacon of morality themselves.
Do we need to be beacons of morality to call out a wrongdoing that is happening? Do you need to be a beacon of morality to call out a wrongdoing that's happening in the community? What happened to being just? What happened to speaking the truth even against yourself? What happened to like standing up for the rights of the oppressed? It's all just superficial platitudes, isn't it? You don't actually believe in any of this stuff. You don't believe that you should stand up for, oppressed women and this and that. It's just you just don't want to hear anything against your leaders and your community.
You don't have to be 100% beacon of morality, but you definitely have to be someone with the basic morality of not hating Islam, and is only covering this topic to bash the religion and to get views on your YouTube channel. What's crazy is that he, as an ex-Muslim, then quoted Islamic scriptures to prove his morality. You gave up your Muslim card, so don't quote the Quran to Muslims. It's just so weird. Speak about secular stuff, sure, but not our scriptures which you reject. Abdul even delusionally accused me of not believing in my own scriptures, but unlike him, I do actually believe in the final word of God, hence why I'm Muslim and he's not. By rejecting Islam, it's you who rejects where our scriptures say, be just and speak up for the oppressed. Sister Fahima and I did our video with that sole motive in mind when we spoke about all parties involved. Abdul even falsely accused us of not standing up for oppressed women and not wanting to hear anything against Muslim leaders or the Muslim community. This is complete and utter nonsense and total projection. You say you care about Muslim women's rights, yet you sit on a live stream for hours slandering two Muslim women and undermining their right to even have an opinion on their own community, whilst exploiting another Muslim woman's marriage breakdown to push your agenda. Just scroll through my YouTube channel and you will see videos of me speaking up for the women and children in Gaza. I even spoke up against Muslim leaders for not helping them, and I certainly have taken fellow Muslims to task for behaving un-Islamically. So just stop lying and please do some research before you flap your gums so carelessly. If you were to look at some of these individuals' browser histories, or even in some cases their past,
how is this an argument that you're making? You're comparing pornography, right? So she's saying some of these Muslim men, and by the way, women too, that are complaining about hijab, look at the browser histories. How do you compare someone watching pornography to deceiving, abusing, and cheating a woman
This clip embodies how unintelligent this man is. I wasn't saying look at Muslim people's browser histories. I was saying look at the anti-Muslim crowd's browser histories. I'm speaking basic English here. Why can't you understand? And from how his facial expression changed and he flinched when I said browser history, it seems like you were expressing guilt. Case in point. He also naively asked how men watching pornography is linked to abusing women. Well, decades-old studies show that men who are hooked on such filth are more likely to abuse women. My original point was that the people using this Mohammed Hijab controversy to throw shade on Islam as a whole are mostly very questionable individuals like you, and I stand by that. Some sort of gotcha moment against Islam. But if you were to look at some of these individuals' browser histories, or even in some cases their past, it's clear that those that are circling like vultures to pass judgment are not people that are a beacon of morality themselves. They would have us believe that all of a sudden these ex-Muslims, Christian apologists and feminists who hate Islam and have also ridiculed Muslim women in the past are suddenly concerned about Muslim women. They're not. It's
there was an interesting comment that David Wood left on the video, the Behind Veils video, and I'll see if I can just find it quickly. And it was actually a really nice comment that my wife noticed, and I want to share it. So let me just bring it up on the screen, because I thought, he's saying these people don't actually care. I hope he didn't delete the comment. Let's see if I can find it. Okay, I can't find it right this moment. David Wood, where are you? So unfortunately, it appears that David's comment may have been either hidden or I guess he probably, I'll just summarize the comment, right? I respect you as a man that you are standing up. He's talking about, just to be clear what I'm talking about here, so no one gets confused, right? He's talking about this guy, Salman, and he's saying, I respect you as a man, David Wood said this, for standing up against this, like, this behavior, this narcissistic abuse. And, this is something that we can relate to. So, they're saying, oh, these people don't care about women and this and that. I think we actually do care about women. And actually, we don't. This is why we speak about these things.
Simply an opportunity for them to bash their religion.
What's funny? It's like as if we need like opportunities to bash the religion. You, as in your religion, makes it too easy.
I found this clip so hilarious. Out of all the people you could have chosen as a beacon of morality that don't harbor prejudice towards Islam or Muslim women, you chose David Wood. Like, seriously, are you feeling well? Firstly, you quote a comment you couldn't even find. But let's just say David did make that comment, saying he respects Salman, the brother who's bringing out the videos making the allegations against Mohammed Hijab on behalf of the sister involved. Salman himself has said he does not respect any Islamophobes, nor is he your ally. And no one's buying that David Wood left that comment because he's moral or cares about Muslim women's rights. What he respects is the fact that he can use this to bash Islam and Muslims just like you do. And secondly, David Wood has made videos not only bashing Muslim men, but Muslim women also. He's not an example of a moral person. This is a man who went to jail for trying to unalive his father. But even if we put that to the side, because I truly am a firm believer in second chances and repentance, maybe he changed when he found God. But currently, David wholeheartedly advocates for the elimination of Palestinian children. You could have found a better example to make your case, Abdul. And you 100% don't care about Muslim women. Not as much as you care about using us to bash Islam, just like you're doing during this stream. Your whole angle, your brand, your identity, and your very existence is anti-Islam. If Islam disappeared tomorrow, which it won't, your life would lose all purpose. Various claims have been made on both sides. And you sort of mentioned it in terms of, the sister. But in your opinion, how has the sister involved? How is she also at fault?
I'll have to bring on my coaching cap right now, because at the
okay, so now comes the victim blaming. What bothers me about this whole part of the conversation? They're both talking about her as if it was just two random people in the Muslim community. It wasn't Mohammed Hijab and some like woman. No, it was like two random people in the Muslim community that, she was dating. It's like one of her friends was dating some guy and she saw some red flags. These pathetic people.
No one is victim blaming, bro. What does that even mean? We're simply giving advice to our women to be accountable and safeguard themselves. We're Muslims. Your lazy, liberal shaming tactics and labels don't work on us. And what is this guy even talking about? No one said that it was two random people. We were very specific throughout in regards to who is involved. You really are clutching at straws here. It looked to me that he was running out of steam and just started rambling again. This creep had the gall to call us pathetic people when it's him that sat on a stream for hours putting down two women and totally misrepresenting what we said just to get clicks on his video. Doesn't get much more pathetic than that.
We in the society, especially in the UK and the West, where we are outspoken and we are exposed to so many things that...
Oh, in the UK and the West, you're outspoken. Was that a compliment? Was that praise towards the West? I think the things they say, they just keep telling on themselves. I guess in Pakistan you can't be outspoken, right? Or Yemen or whatever, right? Dubai, or maybe Dubai is not as bad, but
I did find him a little more cringe than normal here. Abdul, unlike you, we are Westerners. We were born in the West, is all we know. Correct me if I'm wrong, but from your accent it sounds like you migrated here, which I'm all for, by the way. So please leave the talk about the West as Westerners, as you're a guest here. I wonder, does he have a string attached to him that when someone pulls it, it repeats, they just keep telling on themselves? What did we tell? I didn't even speak here. Sister Fahima was doing all the talking. He said in Pakistan or Dubai, women can't be outspoken. Well, actually, in Pakistan, women can be so outspoken that they can even become the prime minister of the country. And in Dubai, women can do whatever they like. Sounds like you need to travel more, Abdul. Get off the internet for a few hours, go outside the house and touch some grass.
why do these ladies spend so much time trying to defend the worst people in the community? Yes, why? Do they even hear themselves? This is Mohammed Hijab that she was marrying. God, like, she did everything right, in my opinion, that she should have done. She got her dad involved. She did her due diligence on hijab. And after all that, it's still her fault. So only in Islam do you pursue married men. Okay, so I guess to some extent we can say, like, you know, she knew she was getting into a polygamous marriage. They think, probably slightly delusionally, that this is going to be a happy ending. The system that they believe in, now this is, of course, they're never going to say this. Why would they say this? Why would they they're telling on themselves, but why would they admit Islam as a system is flawed, that it allows you to actually do this? They're not going to admit it. So they're going to blame her.
We did not defend Mohammed Hijab, we simply gave a fair analysis. Again, go watch my full video and it'll confirm what I'm saying. You, on the other hand, did defend David Wood, and honestly sound like you've been radicalised by his videos. Even the way I marketed the thumbnail for my video that Abdul reacted to, I put a question mark in front of the words Muslim women defend Mohammed Hijab to optimise clickability and not to outright claim that we defend him. Again, if you watch the video, you'll see that we're very neutral. Did you guys catch it? Abdul just completely contradicted himself in the same sentence. 1 second he said the sister involved done nothing wrong, then he proceeded to say she was wrong for pursuing a married man and agreed to become a second wife. Then he started rambling again about how Islam as a system is flawed without actually clarifying how, which I already debunked earlier. He even had the audacity to say the Qur'an was awful, astaghfirullah. Abdul, you literally sit on the internet all day doom scrolling and hating on an entire group of people. So whatever is directing your moral compass is beyond awful. You really need to reevaluate your ethics and character. And yet again, according to Abdul, apparently we were telling on ourselves again. Somebody teach this guy some new lines. His repetitiveness is just getting boring now. If this is what happens to someone when they leave Islam, then I'm good as a Muslim, thank God.
How do you expect her to get married? Is she going to be single like you? How is she going to find someone if she doesn't take a risk? She's saying don't put yourself in a vulnerable situation. Okay, so just be single your whole life, right? Why is his dishonorable behavior acceptable? It's, yeah. Not one word against hijab other than he's a fallible human. He's not a prophet. It's all her.
And she did say in the video that she trusted this man because of
this man. They won't even say his name. These women will not even say his name. Trusted this man. Why don't you say it? They're saying it without saying it.
Him making fun of Sister Fahima for being single when he asked how the sister involved in the Mohammed Hijab thing would get married if she doesn't put herself out there was so disrespectful. In answer to Abdul's question, her male family members could look for matches. She doesn't have to be answering DMs from random men. It's quite simple, really. What's difficult to understand here? Sister Fahima meant women should not make themselves vulnerable in the context that they should involve their families but be upfront with what they want from a marriage and not compromise on that, which makes complete sense to me. Honestly, this guy just can't stop contradicting himself. In one breath, he said, we didn't say a word against Brother Hijab, and then he proceeded to repeat the things we said in regards to Brother Hijab being a fallible human that makes mistakes. Abdul, can you hear yourself talk? Are those headphones actually functioning? The most ridiculous part of this clip was when he hilariously accused us of not saying Mohammed Hijab's name, despite Mohammed Hijab's name being on the thumbnail, the title of the video, and us saying it numerous times. Is this really what it's come to? Is this really all you've got left? There's not a shadow of a doubt who we're talking about. This is just lazy, bro. Please try harder next time.
Are not victim blaming here.
Yes, you are.
We are analyzing it from Muslim women perspective because we are Muslim women who need to sort of step outside our realm to protect ourselves first.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's not the man's fault. Yeah, from Muslim women's perspective, we need to protect ourselves. No, it's not the religion. It's not the system. It's not the mosque. It's us. We need to protect ourselves. I mean, why would we blame Mohammed Hijab? But why would we blame a man? You can't go against the Dawa gang. These guys are untouchable in your community.
At this point, I just find this energy so toxic. He's desperately posing as a male feminist just to push discrimination against Muslims by ironically putting down Muslim women in the process. You can't make this stuff up. As Muslim women, we have complete agency. We don't need to blame men or the religion or the mosque or Mohammed Hijab like you want us to. We take full accountability and responsibility because we are liberated by our faith. Why does that bother you so much? In fact, you left Islam. It has nothing to do with you. Leave our women alone. Why, as a non-Muslim man, are you forcing us to conform to your way of thinking by attacking us? Please check your unconscious misogyny at the door. I'm sorry, but I did laugh out loud when he called a bunch of YouTubers who talk about Islam online the untouchable Dawa gang. Abdul, you've watched too many movies. That's like me saying, oh look, the ex-Muslim mafia has come for me. Please give the scaremongering a rest. No one's buying it.
They're again saying keep it secret. Keep it secret. Don't tell anyone. Don't tell anyone what this great guy did. Yet you're saying she should have asked people for help and she should have done her due diligence. How is anyone going to do due diligence if you tell them to also shut up when something like this happens to them? Yeah, women, if you're abused and you're taken advantage of, don't tell anyone because it's a secret marriage. We don't want it. We don't want that going public. But also, you should be asking people, well, how are they going to ask and how are they going to find out?
No, the context in which we're saying keep it a secret is keep it offline. So we can not only get justice for everyone involved, but we can also prevent Islam haters like you using such rare occurrences to abuse our religion. As I said previously, without witnesses, there is no marriage in Islam. So it's actually not possible to keep it secret, nor is it permitted. And the sister involved sounds as if she's from a well-informed Islamic background. From what she said, she was planning to do dawah online. So she must have had access to teachers, or at the very least, women in her family or at her local mosque. No one ever said that she should keep it completely secret from everyone. You made that assumption up out of thin air. From Mohammed Hijab's video, it seems the sister has a lot of resentment from...
Okay, so now, after, when I first watched this video, I thought, they don't actually know what's going on, do they? Because they're making a lot of assumptions. They're saying a lot of things about this woman. Maybe they never watched her video. But now, she admits she watched the video. So she knows what happened. Yet now she's gonna, okay, let's hear her blame her again.
From what I'd seen, the claim was made that she was asking God to curse his children and praying that he got cancer. And from her video accusing him, she claims he wasn't honest in his...
This is now her talking about the bad things that she did. So when it says she cursed his kids or whatever, I don't know if this is part of the mubahala thing that's happening, which is that there's a thing in Islam. It's so hilarious and dumb, but like I'll just tell you how it works. Basically, it works that when there's a dispute between husband and wife, Allah came down and said, whoever accuses women of adultery and they don't bring 4 witnesses, they're to be lashed. Now Muhammad. So then he said, okay, well, the stupid solution is that you swear 4 times that you're telling the truth. And then she swore as well by Allah. that she's telling the truth. So then he's like, okay, then we do a fifth swear. That the first swear is the curse of Allah is on the liar. It's called mubahala. So it's like mutual cursing. So now she's invoking this, right? She's like, I'm going to invoke my spiritual superpower here. I'm telling the truth. And if I'm lying, may Allah's curse be upon me. And also, and if he's lying, may Allah's curse be upon him. And I think in that cursing, she might have said, and his kids and whatever, right? His whole family or whatever. So I don't know if that's exactly what happened here, if I'm misunderstanding. So that's one possibility. The other possibility is that she just was really angry. We don't know if his kids are adult. I don't know if he has adult kids, if they're involved in the situation, if they talked about her too. I don't know if, or this was just pure emotional anger coming out. Now, let's be honest. Mubahala, it doesn't do anything. Like if you curse someone or the kids or whatever all day long, nothing's gonna happen, right? Nothing's gonna happen. Like, but this is to them, this is like really bad. Like she's evil.
What is this guy talking about? I did not all of a sudden admit anything. In fact, I started my own video by quoting what was said in both videos made by Mohammed Hijab and the sister involved. So of course we saw the videos. At no point did I deny this. If you're going to try to construct arguments, at least attempt to make them somewhat solid. And despite what Abdul said, I did not completely blame anyone. I stayed impartial towards all parties throughout my discussion with Sister Fahima. The denial in this guy is crazy. I just gave a couple of examples where the sister overstepped the mark, and Abdul proceeded to make long-winded stories about why the sister involved chose to curse Mohammed Hijab's children, as well as wished cancer on him, which Abdul himself even admitted he made up on the spot. Like, what is wrong with you? Why would you just make up false scenarios while discussing such a serious issue, especially when you admit you're not sure how it occurred? He then lied even more by implying Mohammed Hijab's kids are grown-ups that were involved in the situation as aggressors. The speculative nonsense says it all about this guy. You're not an honest person. You're so obviously lying through your teeth, it's actually cringe. Mohammed Hijab's children are of school age. They are minors. This ex-Muslim guy is basically condoning an adult, the sister involved, wishing harm on innocent Muslim children. That is just low. Seriously, what kind of person are you? I'd warrant to guess that this guy doesn't have kids, as it's usually childless adults that condone children being harmed. And did you guys also catch how he even ridiculed the sister involved by making fun of her request for a religious solution to the problem? This just further proves that Abdul does not care about this woman. And just to note, not once did we call the woman involved with Brother Hijab evil, like this ex-Muslim just did. Whatever happened to you standing up for her rights? Is making fun of a woman's choice of faith included in your definition of empowering females? His intentions with her and was acting out of lust. Also, from what she said, she
was acting out of lust for the hijab? Hey, have you seen hijab? What do you mean lust? How is she? She's lusting. She's a single mom and she's lusting over. Oh my God. This is like so crazy. Like this is what they
intend her. And from her asking God to curse his children and praying that he got cancer. And from her video accusing him, she claims he wasn't honest in his intentions with her and was acting out of lust. Also,
oh, sorry. Maybe I misunderstood that he was acting out of lust. Let me. Yeah. Okay. That was my mistake.
He wasn't honest in his intentions with her and was acting out of lust.
Okay. My bad.
Also,
I made a mistake. I thought they said she's acting out of lust.
This clip was another one that was so funny to me, as it yet again showed how unintelligent this guy is and how he jumps to conclusions without knowing all the facts. Firstly, you shouldn't make fun of anyone's appearance because you're not exactly a vision of beauty yourself. Secondly, please listen carefully and think before you speak, as you have already made a fool of yourself several times during this stream and lost all credibility. At this point, have some self-respect and at least try to sound sensible. She did consent to become a second wife. I'm not entirely sure whether or not they agreed upon a misyar marriage. And for those who don't know, that simply means...
Why is she like picking and choosing details that she likes that make hijab look more favorable? Why is it that she's saying, I don't know if she agreed to a misyar marriage, when she clearly said this whole thing was a lie to her? What she's doing, what Muslim mom is doing, is picking and choosing facts that she wants.
Means a marriage of convenience, where both parties waive certain marital rights like living together or financial support to suit their lifestyles, which again has to be consented, of course, by both parties. From Mohammed Hijab's side, it sounds like this was the case. From the sister side, not so much.
Of course. So finally admitted it.
Again, this guy is doing himself no favours in terms of appearing to have quite a low IQ. What he calls picking and choosing facts, people of regular intelligence call summarising and giving a neutral analysis. You should try it sometimes if you're able to switch the Islam hate off for more than 5 minutes. And I did not pick or choose details to make Mohammed Hijab look favourable at all, like Abdul accused me of. I simply repeated back what the sister involved said. As I said, you chose to only react to half of my hour-long video to serve your agenda. So who's doing the picking and choosing here, me or you? Again, guys, go watch the full video I did with Sister Fahima, as we hold Muslim men just as accountable as Muslim women. And as far as this confusing accusation that I supposedly admitted the sister seemed like she didn't want a Messiah situation, there was no admission of any sort on my part. I simply just got round to saying what was written in my notes. It's not that deep, Abdul. Get a grip of yourself. If you're going to deceitfully attempt to twist my intentions, at least do it somewhat convincingly. And let's be clear, I'm talking generally here. Muslim men who are public figures have an added responsibility to protect Muslim women.
Yes.
Especially in this day and age with everything that's going on. No one should ever misuse a position of trust or authority.
Yes.
But Muslim women, like we were just saying, also need to make smarter choices. And also the sister involved said she does dawah. So she should have known.
She should have known from doing dawah with Mohammed Hijab that he's a terrible scoundrel, woman abusing, woman using man.
You don't go into a marriage going, it's fine, I'll live in a hotel. It's fine, you don't need to be a dad to my child. You don't need to pay for me. I think at times women excuse certain things because they may be enamoured by a man's social standing, like we said. And again, I'm speaking in general. As you saw there, even in the segment of my video, he selectively chose to react to serve his agenda. I hold Muslim men accountable as well as Muslim women. And yes, as I said, the sister involved should have known better than to compromise what she wanted just because she was starstruck by Mohammed Hijab. Even our little ex-Muslim friend nodded in agreement here.
Well, if it's secret, if it's temporary, that's exactly what it is. And instead of just, living in the moment.
What do you mean it's temporary? I thought temporary marriages are haram in Sunni Islam. Is she justifying prostitution? Sounds like it. This isn't even prostitution because he wouldn't even pay her money.
Apart from Abdul debunking himself again with the same sentence, he asked if temporary marriages are forbidden in Sunni Islam. Yes, they are. But Sister Fahima is Shia, not Sunni.
She's going to talk about her single mom cope now.
So much more. For me, there's a duty to be born and in this world more than, being just married or even having kids.
Again, this is all like, I'm a single Muslim mom. I'm smart, right? I don't know what age she is, but she's not in her 60s. And I can't find anyone. So I'm just going to talk about how beautiful my life is without marriage.
This was disgracefully misogynistic rhetoric from this apostate. Not only did he ridicule Sister Fahima for being a single mum, he made comments about her age, her not being married, and accused her of lying about being happy about her life. This guy is not classy at all. The fact is that Sister Fahima is extremely successful in her professional life and with her children. But this hypocrite ex-Muslim who supposedly cares about women's rights feels it necessary to disrespect her because he doesn't approve of how she lives her life.
Imagine this happened the other way around if it was halal. The reaction would have been totally different. Meaning that, like, for example, Hijab's wife went and had a secret hotel marriage with another man. It's crazy that these people don't even think about that. Like, they don't even, in their mind, these women, they're justifying all this without realizing like how awful this feels. These two Muslim women that we're talking about are also assuming that it's true, right? It's interesting that some of the comments on this video are actually against them.
You really need to stop making silly assumptions. One piece of advice to you, Abdul. It's not wise to talk about other men's wives when you yourself have a wife, as you open yourself up to a like-for-like response. Just saying. Unlike you again falsely alleged, myself and Sister Fahima did not justify anything. We simply analysed the situation with the aim of being as fair as possible so that a solution could be found. Unlike you, who is hyping it up and sensationalising it to go viral. And since you're on YouTube, you should know we all get positive and negative comments, most of which I don't even see, and I'm not concerned about. I'm not going to cry in the corner because some anonymous bot left a mean comment. If the comments are so important to you, where negative ones hold any significance at all, that just tells me that in a real life pressure situation, you're probably the type of man that would crumble quickly and easily. In conclusion, Abdul Samir, the not so friendly ex-Muslim, is not a credible person, but no doubt he will continue to live his life in this vein and conduct himself online in the same toxic manner, dedicated to hating other human beings simply because they believe in something different to what he does. If you don't want to end up like him, don't leave Islam. Thank you for watching. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Allah